Welcome to the Chosson and Kallah Shmooze you wish you had but never got, Part 9. Once again, I must ask you to please listen to all of the shiurim in order. Don't try to rush it. You might think that you can get the same benefit or skip to the good part, as it were, but it really takes effort and time to understand, digest, and implement these principles. And today will be, Be'ezus Hashem, the last part of the communication piece in terms of the 13 distorted beliefs that disrupt and undermine marital and relationship harmony. Starting with the next discussion we will be beginning to go into sexuality and intimacy from a Torah perspective. First talking about what's considered more normative, going into eventually difficult situations, challenges, psychopathology, sexual pathology, and some solutions. But let us, again, right now, do the 12th distorted idea. The 12th distorted belief is people seem to have this impression that you cannot change. In fact, it's one of those things that people like to say a lot, and perhaps even to teach. You can't change your spouse. There is a problem with that. There's a significant problem with that, which is that people are changing all the time. If we don't change, what's the point? Why even bother to be alive if we don't go through experiences that help us change? What's probably more correct is to understand a couple of ideas about change. What's probably correct is, number one, to say that we cannot demand that the people that we love change according to our timetable and our expectations. That's something that's fair to say. We cannot demand nor expect. However, on the other hand, we do not have to wave the white flag. We can talk about, engage, dialogue in a non-coercive, non-threatening, non-shaming, non-forcing way to talk about certain qualities that we would love to see in our spouses and to talk about certain things that are painful and difficult for us. It's important to be tactful, certainly to be tactful, and to say things like, it makes me much happier when, it feels great for me when, it makes me feel close to you when, it makes me feel loved when, and if need be, to even say, it's difficult for me when you do this. It's hurtful for me when you do this. I would love if we can make as a project a way to help you focus and work on doing something a little differently. And I'm open too. Maybe there's something you want me to work on. Not that it has to be tit for tat, but that we could exchange wishes and needs and make it into a project, an adventure, to improve it, as it were. That's an important point. So we want to employ what we call acceptance, which is that we can appreciate and accept and live with the person as they are. But that's different than yish. That's different than giving up and saying that we don't have wishes or needs. Another important principle to understand when it comes to this is the idea of the balance between positive to negative. I've quoted Gottman many times, and I'll continue to do so, because what he says is based on solid research. It's not just one person's opinion. It's solid research. So we have, as the Rambam speaks about in the beginning of the Moreh Nevuchim in his introduction, we have sources of truth. We have truth that's evident to us with our intellect, and we also have revealed truth. We have a Torah that teaches us things. So we use those two truths together, not separate, together to arrive at what we want to know, need to know, what we think we should do, etc. And certainly solid empirical research about human nature, if it's done well, is an important informant of what we should do, as well, of course, as the source of our tradition. The Rambam in Hilchos Deos discusses in Perek Aleph how much a person has both certain constitutional natures, but also, and this is important, but also in that constitutional nature also can change over time through external actions. So by adopting and working on certain attitudes and certain behaviors, in time, their nature itself can change. Now, it's interesting and ironic. Where does the Rambam get this from? Certainly, he uses two informants too, and he makes no secret of it. You could look in his introduction to the Shmona Prakim, which is his introduction to his treatise on Pirkei Avos, which is an introduction to an introduction. But in any case, in the Shmona Prakim, you can find him mentioning that he certainly made liberal use of philosophers, and in particular, if you look in Aristotle's On the Soul and some of his other treatises, these very principles that he quotes in Hilchos Deos are coming from Aristotle. At the same time, though, the Rambam understood Chazal and mined Chazal and had a Masorah and spoke about the ways in which the Torah tries to guide people for the betterment of themselves, for the betterment of society, and ultimately to achieve attachment to Hashem by emulating God's midos in character and in state of mind. That's right, state of mind. Look at Perek 52, chapter 52 in the third section of the Moreh Nevuchim, of the Guide for the Perplexed, how important it is for the state of mind to be in a place of attachment to Hashem through having proper and appropriate beliefs, attitudes, feelings, etc. Anyway, regardless of where it comes from, there is a belief that one can change, and that is critical from a Torah point of view and from a psychological point of view as well. Okay, we're up to the last distorted belief, the 13th distorted belief, which is that there is a very strange and deep intuitive belief that our spouses and the people that we love should read our minds and understand us. Now, from a developmental psychological point of view, there's a very strong reason for that, which is that as infants, we experienced a very magical world. We experienced a magical world where our parents, and in particular, our mother, somehow read our mind and anticipated our every need, way before we had the ability to communicate, even way before we yet understood that ourselves and the universe around us were separate. When we were at our earliest moments, if we experienced some kind of distress, hunger, a wet diaper, a stomachache, somehow or another, this magical, amazing, godlike creature would come and swoop down and take care of us. Of course, that was Mother. And we've been conditioned, therefore, to feel very strongly that whatever we need, somehow or another, someone else, particularly somebody who fits the pattern of a love object, should just automatically soothe and heal us. However, that's not reality. That's a reality for an infant, and there's a reason why an infant needs that, because an infant, in order to develop an understanding of him or herself and of the world, needs a all-wise and all-knowing kind of loving experience to begin to internalize how to feel, how to behave, what the world is about, how to develop language. All those things begin with that amazing and beautiful relationship that a mother provides. However, that is not sufficient for the rest of the life, just like it's not sufficient for us to continue to, pardon me, but poop in our diapers. we need to advance beyond that as we grow. And we also need to learn when to hold things in our mouth and in our head, and when to say things and how to say things. Just like we need to learn how to toilet train, we need to learn how to manage our impulses and our feelings. And that means that when we're hurt and we're upset, we need to find a way to let people know in a respectful, collaborative manner how we want what we want, what we want, what we want, and to work with the other person to find out how they can help us get what we want. There is a feeling, it's very strong. There's a feeling like if I have to tell the person, remind them that I want a birthday present, or I have to tell them to say I love you, or I love, you love me, or whatever it is, that's somehow not sincere. Now, of course, it's very flattering, and it's wonderful when people spontaneously anticipate our needs and give it to us without us having to remind them. Yes, that's true, because it is fundamentally similar to that love experience that we had, very young. However, it's just not realistic to expect that people can understand us, and oftentimes we're going to have to work in this collaborative way to get that help. One of the magic words is to end our sentences with, "What do you think?" It changes everything. So something like, for me, it really makes me very happy when you remember automatically to offer me if I need a drink, or to offer to help out. And that really makes me feel good. That really works well for me. What do you think? It might sound like something silly and very external, but there's something so powerful about making a statement for ourselves about what we want or what we feel or what we feel that we need, and then asking the other person, what do you think? It's magically collaborative and extremely helpful.